Everyone for joining us tonight. Welcome to Toastmasters. To make a quick introduction, Toastmasters is an educational international organization with a main purpose of helping its members develop better public speaking, communication, and leadership skills. We do that by, of course, speaking in public, conversing with one another, and organizing every meeting, the entire club, and all of its activities outside of the clubs by ourselves. Well, the way we develop these skills is through the Pathways program, which is a new program in Toastmasters. It's an educational program that helps you tailor your, let's call it journey, Toastmaster journey, to your own personal goals. If you don't know what your goals are, the program has a quick quiz that kind of helps you to determine your, let's say, yes, your direction in which you want to develop certain skills or competencies. And you can develop things such as dynamic leadership, innovative planning, strategic relationships, and so on. For more information, you can check the Toastmasters site online. It's an online platform, an online program. It's quite easily accessible. You can do it everywhere, anytime, and all of that is to help you learn new skills and develop yourself. So without further ado, in order to know what we're going to do tonight, I would like to welcome the Toastmaster of the evening, who will lead us through the agenda. He will be our host tonight. And with that, I would like to declare the meeting open.
All right, firstly, I would like to say that phones should be kept quiet, and for the sake of the meeting, please respect the speaker in front and be quiet as well, physically. Just respect when he's talking. Show that. So now, as you can see, I will be your host tonight. That means I will guide you through the agenda. I will present to you the speakers, these different segments of tonight's meeting, and of course, the dear old evaluators. Now, as such a host of the meeting, it is my duty and honor, first of all, to show you the agenda. Let's pick it up, right? Eyes on me, and eyes on the agenda. Okay. Firstly, this is something we do from time to time, but I think it's going to be a tradition from now on. On each and every agenda, we put a quote that inspires people. And tonight's quote is chosen by me, and it's by Jim Rohn. The challenge of leadership is to be strong, but not rude. To be kind, but not weak. To be bold, but not a bully. To be thoughtful, yet not lazy. To be humble, and not timid. To be proud, but not arrogant. Have humor, without fault. This is something I remind myself, by the way, every day since the day I saw that quote. Because it is something that resonates with what I think is best for me to become. Because I vision myself to become a good speaker and a good leader. And this is why it is very important to remind yourself every day what you're trying to achieve. And this quote for me is, let's say, a metaphor for balance. To find the perfect way for you to acknowledge your strengths and use them in the proper way for what you're trying to achieve. Because when you have power, it is very easy to abuse it. When you're good at something, it's very easy to stand on top of people. But a good leader doesn't do that. A good leader leads among the people. Do you think this is true, by the way?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that this kind of leadership, like be strong, but not arrogant, to use your power from not to be a bully, to push people around, but motivate them? You think that this is the right way? Or just push them through, right? Run them over.
The strong leaders lead by example.
Yeah, personal example.
Exactly.
Yes.
But also need to be strong because there are many different points of view that not everything can happen. Not everything works.
Well, yes, but I think that a strong leader provokes communication, by the way, of many different people, not just between him and somebody else, but in front and between a group, a mass of people, trying to show them what they can achieve, not what can he achieve. Yeah.
Also, if the person is rude, there is a hidden zone inside of this person making him being rude.
Yeah.
So, good to look at it inside of you and discover what is it making you to be rude, right? There is something behind, or anything else you can pick it up, being lazy or whatever. There is something behind. That's how I want to say it. There's a reason behind being not.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes, and it is. So, I really enjoy this book, by the way. I really do remind myself whenever I can, or when I'm in a situation on a spot, what should I do to be this kind of the balanced leader? I suggest that you take home this agenda and remember this quote. I think it will be helpful in the future. Now,
My apologies.
okay. Alright. Now let's turn our gaze upon the agenda again and see what is our main event tonight. As you see, our president opened the meeting. I'm currently speaking, and our main event is going to be consisted of two people who will be speaking their prepared speeches tonight, Mr. Angelov and Nicole. We will hear what their speeches are all about in a few short minutes, where I will introduce them and their speeches. After that, we will hear their speech evaluations by Simeon for Angel, and there is a slight correction here. The speech evaluation for Nicola will be done by Elena Kuneva over there. So you might scratch that name and write Elena Kuneva if you like. After that, we'll have a small pause of 5 minutes just to grab fresh air for a few minutes, and then we will go on to the table topics, the very, very interesting part of the meeting where everything is fun and everybody can join in, by the way, even guests can join in on that part. But we'll hear more about that when the time comes. After that, we'll hear our sweet evaluations from our evaluation team. And speaking about the evaluation team, first I want to point out who are they tonight. That is, firstly, our general evaluator, Mr. Simeon Sherelov, who will generally evaluate what has happened on this meeting and did we do well with it. After that, we'll hear our
We are out of time, by the way.
yeah.
We've reached 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Right now.
Okay. We'll hear our timer, please, who will, as you can see, everyone has a interval of minutes within which he has to speak. I didn't keep mine because I think that I'm not good with time management, and apparently so it is. Now, when you see the green card, Elise will show you, that means that you have spoken enough and it's safe to sit down. When you see the yellow card, that means you have reached the middle of this time interval and it is suggestively good to sit down now. And after you see the red card, that means you're over time, you have reached the end of your time limit, and you should sit down almost immediately. Because within 30 seconds, we will start clapping and no one will hear you speak. But that doesn't count for me. Because after all, I'm the Toastmaster. After that, we'll hear our and counter, Mr. Rubenkov, who will keep track of your and ums and other parasitic words. After which, after what? Sorry. Yeah, at the end of the meeting, he will give a report of all the people who spoke and how they managed to cope with those problems. And in the end, I want to introduce you to our grammarian, Georgi Chernev, who will now be quite so generous to let us know what are the words and idiom of the day.
I encourage you to test your flexibility by using the word of the day and the idiom of the day in your speech tonight. The word of the day is scrupulous, means having moral integrity, acting in strict regard for what is considered right or proper. Example, we shall behave as always by being scrupulous to the needs of objectivity. An idiom of the day is track record. It means a record of past performance on the basis of which we can estimate future results. An example would be players with excellent track records at the national championship managed to hang on. Thank you.
Well, key thing about the grammarian, he will also be listening carefully to what you say because he will also evaluate your grammar. So keep in mind that as well. By the way, these words and idioms these words and idioms, they really do fit well with a great leader, don't they? A great leader has a track record of scrupulous deeds behind his back, right? Because what is a great leader without scrupulous, right?
Without being scrupulous.
Yeah, without being scrupulous. Thank you, grammarian. That means he's tired. That is what it means. But let us continue to the main event of tonight's meeting.
Sorry, may I ask something?
Yeah?
About the idiom.
Yes.
I think we're slightly using it in a different, I'm not sure if it's right, maybe I'm wrong, but shouldn't it be like to track record? I mean, the verb, not like
No.
No?
So a track record is a history of past performances. For instance, someone that is a fellow Toastmaster that comes on a regular basis to the meetings has a proven track record of always being on time and participating. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. I just wanted to ask because I wasn't sure.
Well, it was nice to clarify that, by the way. Okay. And now, without further ado, and me babbling on, let us turn our gaze upon the speakers tonight. Our first speaker is going to be Angel Angelov, a relatively new member, but showing great potential with incredibly interesting speeches. I would like to say that he is doing his project number 1 of his path in Pathways, being motivational strategies. Effective coaching, yeah, in my bad. So effective coaching, I think, is focusing on coaching, strong speaking, and understanding the consensus. Yes. So these are his main goals of his path. But the goals of which tonight's project is to learn the basics structure of speech and introduce himself, being his first speech on this path as an icebreaker. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Angel to the stage.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and guests. It's a pleasure for me to give you yet another icebreaker speech. So basically, the icebreaker speech, as our dear Toastmaster mentioned, has the objective of introducing yourself a little better to the people in the meeting. And my first icebreaker gave a part of me, but now I'm willing to show something more. So basically, what I'm going to talk about is something that I've recently become very aware of, and it's called Say No to Mediocrity. So how it all started is, with a conversation with one of my friends. And he said, I really hate to see her go. And I was absolutely right. I absolutely agreed with him. Why? Because she was one of those girls who's very smart, very pretty, really talented, and just nice to be around. I knew her for a very long time, so you could say I was a bit biased. But nevertheless, I really hated to see her go. And it's not because she left some space, some place, or some club. It is because she left this world. Yeah. One of my close friends got electrocuted because someone, somehow, somewhere, was mediocre about his work. And this cost her her life. So basically, she had a crash with mediocrity. She was only 22, and it was fatal. And when I started thinking about it in the next days, because I was trying to contain myself and my emotions, I just couldn't find the answer. My thoughts were simply banging on my created limits in my mind, and they were refusing to accept what I already knew to be normal, what I already knew to be the standard. So after struggling for some time, I simply decided to let it go. So I decided to free my thinking and just have no boundaries, but start exploring once again what is life, how we live it, what it means to me, how I live it. So I decided to let go of my understandings of good and evil, proper and improper, right and wrong, and just give freedom. Until it really dawned on me, something very important, of course, among other thoughts. How mediocre are we? And what caused her death was simply mediocrity in someone's life. I thought about myself, I envisioned my everyday life, the things that I was doing at home, at work, for Toastmasters. And I realized something which was actually very alarming. 90% of all the things that I did were some tasks that I took either because someone made me, someone imposed it on me, I didn't want to deny someone else, or felt some kind of need to show the people around me and respond to their peer pressure. But I hated those tasks, or they were boring, or I didn't like them. So basically what I was doing is just pay some attention until it's done, and then get rid of it. And of course, when you do it without passion, when you do it without giving enough time, it's mediocre in every way. And I realized that actually when I was very angry at someone who did a mediocre job that, of course, ended up horribly for my friend, I was actually doing the same in a lot of other things. And I really started focusing on that and realizing what I want to do, what I want for my life, because this was a kind of lifestyle I developed and it's hard to break. And then I thought, what really will come out of those 9% of tasks that I complete, make someone happy probably? Will they really remember my mediocre work? Will it make me stand out? Definitely not. But then there was those 10%. Very often I didn't have enough time for them because they were something more creative, not so much useful in my everyday life, in my life, you know, when you have to be engaged with the chores. And I decided to give them a lot more time, to give them a lot more passion and a lot more energy, and ignore the rest. And say no to those people who come to me trying to impose on me something I didn't like. And when I began to think that way, I started to question everything that I did and how I did it, whether I did it with excellence or no. And I started to strive for excellence. I started to change my thinking. The way I'm going to do it, how it's going to go, will I have enough time? What is my emotion when I'm doing it? What it should be? Should I consult someone and maybe be charged by his emotions to do it the right way? Has someone done it in a way that really wows me and I want to do it the same way? And it actually really changed my whole thinking. I'm still struggling to move on in the same direction, to be honest, because it's very hard to break away those 90% of other tasks. But it's definitely a lifestyle and a transformation that I'm willing to go on with and be better at. So I really encourage you to go the same way, because I can tell you another story. It's for a boy in a hospital, and he's just come back to because he's been going in and out of coma because he was sick with one of the deadliest diseases of the 19th century, which was diabetes. A silent killer that people didn't know about and were trying for a very long time to find a cure, but they couldn't. This evening, his father came to him, took his hand and said, "Tomorrow, it's done." He was a 14-year-old boy, and he received the first insulin injection, which was the result of hard work of people who were willing to be mediocre and stop when it wasn't still working. So the next day, he got the first injection and improved to the state that he continued to live on without problem. So this is the kind of excellence I want to inspire you and to inspire myself to be following every day. Thank you.
Now, everyone, as you can see and hear, Angel is a great speaker, but we have to give him feedback. To do that, we can all do that. You have pieces of paper in front of you. Grab a little piece of paper, and you have a minute to write anonymous, or you can write your name, feedback for any comment you like, but preferably on the objectives of the speech. Did he do well with basic structure of the speech? Did he introduce himself, part of himself? So any comment on the quality of the speech, or whatever you like.
So my first time, does it have to be in English? Or
Yes, it has to be. Oh, but if you like,
no problem. I mean, I'm just
Yeah, well, we do it.
Because it's for him, it's not for them.
Yeah, it can be in Bulgarian as well.
Right?
Yeah, it's not a necessity.
Oh, really?
As long as he understands it. So no Japanese,
Good point.
no Korean.
Okay, so whenever someone is ready, I will come and retrieve his feedback. Someone else? After hearing this wonderful speech, it is time to move on to the next one. And it will be by Nikola Minkov, who is one of our officers, a new, relatively new as well member, but showing great progress, by the way. And this is going to be his fifth, right?
Exactly.
project from the CC manual. Though that is what our old educational system looked like. We had manuals by which we learned how to do speeches, with the end goal being to be perfect in our presentational mastery. His project is number 5 by the CC manual, which is called Your Body Speaks. This is a project which is focusing on body gestures, body movements, and body language. So keep in mind these objectives and how he uses his body. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Nicole to the stage.
What is my body saying?
That you don't feel comfortable.
You need to pee.
Not really, not. And what is my body saying now? Does it look different?
Confident.
Strong.
And so what about now?
Eager.
Sexy.
I would say even more confident, but everyone can interpret it however he wants. Yes, and that was exactly the point. I wanted to show you that even without speaking anything, without saying a word, your body is actually speaking instead of you. And everyone has a fairly accurate and normal idea what good and what bad body language is. We're all attuned to picking up on such physical cues. We all have to do it. Let me ask you something else. I give you 3 numbers: 55, 38, and 7. Any idea what that is? Anyone? No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, the information you're speaking out to the person in front of you, whether it is with your mouth or your body language.
Exactly. And to be specific,
Sorry, I spoiled.
no, it's okay, it's okay. That's the idea. To be more specific, 7% of what you're actually giving as a meaning, what you're actually saying, is verbal communication. And which means only 7% of everything you're actually saying is what's being said. So what you're actually trying to say is much more than your words. The other 38% are about your voice quality. And the last and biggest part of it is the body language usage, the 55%. It's more than half of what you're communicating with others. You're doing it through your body language. And to be even more specific right now, I'll give you the 5 most important focal points of body language, which are the stance, or in other words, the posture, the eye contact, the facial expressions, the movements, and last but not least, the gestures. And let's begin with the first one, the stance. What did my stance say when I was seated like that and on the chair there? Like, not confident. When you're not confident, you're not really that trustworthy. People can't really believe in what you're trying to say. Even if I was not saying anything, you wouldn't really try to have contact with me. With that being said, your posture has to be with a straight back, relaxed shoulders, like that, and you just show more confidence to the people. The second point is the movement. What the movement does is that it diversifies the experience. It makes it more interesting. You're taking the attention of the audience and putting it in another place with your movements. And how your movements should be, they should be slow. You shouldn't be pacing, because slow shows confidence, shows trustworthiness. So walk slowly, avoid pacing, and you should also try to make every movement with purpose. You shouldn't make movements that are unpurposeful. The third thing, which is very important, are the gestures. The gestures are actually the most expressive part of the body language, the non-verbal communication. Because you're using your arms, your shoulders, your head, you're using a lot of different parts of your body to show what you're trying to say. And let me give you an example. My little 2-year-old dog went right past me in that direction of the hill. No? With gestures, you can show a lot of different things and enhance the message that you're trying to give. Gestures could amplify what you're trying to say many times. The fourth point that's very important is the facial expression. The facial expression could underline very small motives of what you're trying to say. You show different feelings, different emotions. And the best one is just to smile, because it's better to smile, and people like it more when they see a smiling person in front of them. It shows positivity, it shows sincerity. People are more confident and would like to believe what he's trying to say. And the last point is the eye contact, which I'm trying to have with each one of you. You shouldn't be gazing all over the place, but you shouldn't also be staying too much in contact with one person, because it gets to feel a little awkward, isn't it?
No, I feel in love.
That's a different thing, man. So make sure to remember these five most important things: the stance, the gestures, the facial expression, the eye contact, and the movement. Because obviously what your body is saying is of very big importance. And don't try to do them all at once. Start step by step, little by little. First, try to incorporate just one of these things that I'm telling you, or that you already know but you're not doing. Try to incorporate just one thing, focus on it. Try to incorporate it when you're having a conversation soon. Just focus on that one thing and do it. And if it doesn't happen, it's okay, because as Bulgarians say, there's a Bulgarian proverb, good things happen slowly. We need to gradually build these habits of using all of these body language, different weapons of body language to enhance what we're saying. And just try. It won't hurt, and don't feel depressed if you're not doing it that good. Just fake it till you make it. Thank you.
That was very insightful, by the way. And it's an underlying motif of what Toastmasters is, by the way. Because what makes a great speaker is what makes a great body language speaker, right?
Okay.
You have to be very, very thoughtful of what your body is saying, to be very precise with your movements and with your gestures, to underline your tone and your idea, right? Okay. So let us turn to our evaluations. Firstly, by you, grab again a piece of paper, if you haven't done so already, and write feedback for Nicola's body language speech. You have 8 minutes to do so.
8 minutes.
No, 8 minutes. 8 minutes. If you're ready. Whoever is ready can raise their hand, and I will come pick your opponent up. Someone else? Thank you. One more?
No.
For the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can give it to him, by the way.
Fill up. I want to fill up. With the paper in here.
Yeah.
You can do it in the break. break if you want. In the pause, you can do it later.
Okay,
Just to not interrupt the
Got it.
flow.
got it.
Anyone else? Okay. Give it.
Yeah.
Cast your vote. Okay. As you you wrote down your comments, your verdict for the co-op, it is now time to hear our formal evaluators of our two speakers. First up, for Angel, is going to be Simeon Cheret. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster this evening. Again, I want to start by congratulating Angel on his amazing speech, and I really do envy you. I envy you because you get to be evaluated by me. As you know, I have an amazing evaluation track record, for I'm quite the scrupulous evaluator. Well, this might change my evaluation. But as you can see, my opening made people laugh a bit cheery. Now they are focused entirely on me, which is very important if you try to make contact with that person, to make contact and to exchange ideas. And I'm saying that because I really didn't feel grabbed by the opening that you did, because you came in front of everybody and you just said, "This is my icebreaker speech, the purpose of it," and you repeated the words of the Toastmaster Dean, because I think he explained what the project is. And I believe that you could have a more powerful opening when you talk about fighting mediocrity and being excellent. Now, that being said, I liked everything else about the speech. Honestly, your body language was on point, eye contact was really good. You were calm, collected, and relaxed during the whole speech. And when it comes to the main purpose, introducing yourself to people, most of us go the route to explain our job, our profession, where we studied, our families and so on, and you didn't. And I very much enjoy that, because that is the most boring way to introduce yourself to someone. Instead, you helped us to think the way you think, or you try to explain to us the free thinker that you are, to explore, let's say, your mind, the way you look at things, in your battle with mediocrity and your strive for excellence. The conclusion was inspiring. I really did like the conclusion, and it did motivate me. The structure of the speech as a whole, the organization of it, was superb. When we leave out the opening, of course, as I said, no use of notes. Maybe the one other thing that you could work on your future speeches is your vocal variety, because you have a very calm and soothing voice, but when over-exaggerated or used over time, at least for me, it tends to get a bit monotonous at times. Yes, everything else I really did enjoy. Fantastic speech, although it was a Project One speech in Icebreaker. It's not your first speech, and I think everybody saw that, because you're a great speaker, and I can't wait to hear your next one. Thank you.
Yeah. That was very, very interesting, very, very insightful, and good feedback overall, by the way. That was very packed with insightful knowledge of a good speaker, like our president is. So Yeah.
Be flatter.
All right, all right. So now we're going to turn our attention to the next evaluator, which is going to evaluate the speech of Nicola. And that evaluator is going to be not Radoslav, but Elena Kadova.
Thank you. Well, I believe, and most of the people probably believe, that you cheated with your speech because the topic selection was good and the topic itself suggested that you will say something that is connected to body language and how we can use it properly. But next time, I challenge you to do another body language speech on random topic, because that was quite easy to actually talk about body language while explaining us how to actually do body language. That's my opinion. The preparation was satisfactory, and it is extremely important to have a good preparation if you want to be comfortable using your body language. And a couple of times I saw that you used notes. Don't do that next time. But your manner was confident and enthusiastic. Your posture was balanced, I think. Your gestures could improve. For example, stop clapping with your hands. You don't clap with your hands, but you do that usually when you get nervous or when you don't remember something and you try your best to remember it. Stop moving with your hands that much. You were doing that all the time. And I think that makes your audience get distracted and they can't really understand what you're saying from time to time because of your hands. Your body movement was smooth and the eye contact was perfect in my opinion. You established some visual bonds with your audience. You also managed to establish an eye contact with your notes, as I said.
I did.
But you will improve that next time. I think that your facial expression was friendly and animated. I really liked it actually, because what you presented and what I saw was a young, smart, intelligent person, a positive one, and I really liked that. That managed to convince me in what you were saying and made me trust your judgment about how to use my body language when speaking in front of an audience. Your speech purpose was perfectly clear for me, and the speech organization was great. You had a clear structure, meaning a good opening, body, and conclusion. What you could have done more effective is I really encourage you to do another speech, just to see what it is to use your body language on a random topic. And don't prolong words and phrases when you get nervous and when you forget about what you were trying to say. I also saw that. But what I like about the presentation is that it was really good overall, and I really liked your opening, since you managed to involve your audience in the talking. Thank you for the speech, and I
Well, that's how it's done properly. You wait for the person who is a Toastmaster to come and relieve you of your speaking.
Oh.
Now, I think that was quite a lot of information, very interesting information, and to let that sink in and have a little chat with everyone else, I would suggest we do a 5-minute break. So, timer, 5 minutes. All right.
I don't know who will that person.
Jak kończyta?
So far, we're enjoying it.
Yes.
You guys did an excellent job.
I mean, now that's it. Имаше някакви пропуски, които направих тази вечер, но трябваше само че правят. Един човек излизаше, понякога има хора, които се водише от него.
Нарочно го правя на база, защото не имам време повече да е без.
I hope I really do folks a little bit younger. They're 3 years old. They have what they 15 years old, like something like that. People there are old. Yeah, it's great. We're pretty much like younger, a little bit more flexible, not so formal. We're trying to keep the impact of but
още 38 гласа voices,
especially in the first part, we're really trying to introduce we usually play, not play, but introduce all the validators. Time goes by clapping with welcoming people
when they're having meetings. However, it's also good to have the parents at the same time.
keep waiting for fun.
Good job, exactly. Excellent. Oh, be versus here.
Аз съм точно обратно по принцип и затова
And then I really enjoyed your feedback. Communicating a message, your tonality was great. And most importantly, the content that you said was really fun. Because I enjoyed I enjoyed the speech a lot. And I thought it was amazing. I like how he engaged the audience and how he was able to actually use body language to engage the audience as well. I really I share your views and your point. To do this speech about body language that is something that I didn't think have you worked in a professional environment that uses English? That's right. More
Как тебе? Нам, по-моему, в свете, когда мы
Državaš stvar, zatvarjamo, posle samo zatvaraš da bi ja primjer nekako što to ti dalo po 50 sekundi sve zbog tebe ako ima, znaš da je to što znam može i ostavimo na master
All right. Attention to me. All people. All right. Okay. So we grab a breath of fresh air, and it's time to have fun while growing, right? Woo! So, all right. The hype is real, right? So, without further ado, let's get to the meat and potatoes of the fun part of this meeting with our table topics master, being Elena Cunningham.
It's me again. Okay, so table topics is the most fun part of the meeting, and it's usually about you being in front of an audience. You have between 1 to 2 minutes to answer a question, and you're not prepared for it. And that's the point of it, that when sometimes you speak in front of an audience, you're not prepared, and you have to think on your feet. But that's not what we're going to do today. We're going to do something different, and it's actually connected to Nikola's speech. It wasn't on purpose. It's about body language, because when you speak in front of the audience, you don't. You need a vocal variety. You need a good language. You need a good structure of your speech, but you also need to know how to use your body language. So this is what we're going to do today, and the rules are simple. The timer. I'll give you some instructions now. Everyone will have 1.5 minutes. After this 1.5 minutes, you will start clapping with your hands. Okay? So you have 1.5 minutes to explain as much as words possible, just using your body language, without talking. I have a lot of words here in my hands. And the rules are really simple. Whoever makes the audience understand more words and guess more words is the winner of tonight. And if the number of the words is equal, we will vote for the best table topics speaker or...
Just short.
Yeah.
Quick question. Are you allowed to use any words or just body language?
Just body language and sounds, if you want.
That's good. That's good. Right.
Sounds make it
Not
makes it
objects,
a
just
lot easier.
Just sounds and body language.
Maybe.
Yes, but it's funnier.
By the way, to clarify, when does it count a word for to actually be guessed? Like when someone of the audience says it, or
Yes, if someone, I pick a word here and I try to explain it. When someone guesses it, I throw it
okay,
here.
so
I
anyone
pick
of the audience who says
Yes,
is it
yes.
right?
Yes, I pick the next word,
Okay,
and so on, till my time's over and it starts clocking.
okay.
1.5 minutes for everyone.
And then you don't have to use the time.
No, you don't have to use cards. Just count till they reach 1.5 minutes and start counting.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they know that they have reached it. One more thing. I need a favor because I don't know. I have 30 words here. I need more. So in front of you, you probably have sheets of paper. So just write down 3 to 4 words. So
Rip
I
them
can
up
collect
into
them.
pieces. The sheets of paper.
Okay.
So we can follow.
Who needs more? Think about objects. It should be nouns. Think about objects, maybe professions. Something easier.
And something not vulgar.
I have to find my word and take it out there.
No, I took it out earlier. Don't worry.
Only object. Because I asked.
Objects or profession, whatever you can think of. And you can raise your hands whenever you're ready.
Correct.
And we can't like point it out if it's here.
No,
No point.
you
right?
can't use objects. You can only use sounds and body language.
Can you write down animals?
Yes,
It's good for sounds.
I think so too.
If we can't explain something, do we return it or do we keep trying?
Yes, that's what I forgot to say. You pick a word and you don't know how to explain it or you think it's too hard to explain it. You just drop it back in the box, you pick another one until you find something you want to explain. But if you start explaining, you can't stop. You should continue explaining.
Well, just so I wasn't listening.
Okay, so you pick a word. If you don't like it or you think it's too hard to be explained, drop it back into the box.
But
and
if you
pick
start
another
explaining,
word. But
you...
if you start
Okay.
explaining, you should finish.
Each paper needs to be a separate word or
Yes.
a separate word or what?
If you can't think of a word,
I'm just trying
that's
to be creative.
okay.
I got another one.
Okay. Okay, so who will be my first volunteer?
Come on, people, don't be
I
shy.
think we're pretty safe now.
she will start counting.
Donkey.
Yes.
Superman.
Shotgun. Pistol.
It's tanks. Wookie. Chewbacca.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
That's closer to Chewbacca though.
Airplane.
Roller coaster.
Yes, roller coaster. Okay.
A policeman.
Yes. Yeah, that's fine.
Put it.
A fish.
Yes. Thank you.
Very good.
Oh, why not?
Because you know you wrote and you can see your sheet.
Yeah, but sometimes I write difficult things so that other people can't explain it.
That's you.
What's your name? What's your name? This one.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
All right.
Okay.
Good track record.
Yeah, good. Almost one every 10 seconds, not bad.
Who's the next
was
one?
pretty scrupulous about it.
Oh, come on, it's fun.
I'll do it.
All right.
Let's see.
That's right.
That's it.
Robot.
That's it.
Nope. Nope.
Water. Bottle.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bottle.
I know all of them.
No.
Happy.
Smile.
Exactly.
Nope.
I don't know what it is. Oh yeah, I know, but
They're hard now, right?
come on.
Go.
Gambolo.
Exactly.
A clock.
Clock.
That was.
It was going counterclockwise.
Oh, for us, by the way.
For you. For you. Oh, you need 2 more words, just do it. Okay.
Okay, so there are 6 here. I'm waiting.
Oh, I'm waiting for the hard ones at the end. Maybe some of our guests.
Some of our ladies.
Yeah.
Can join it.
Should have went to the toilet. Okay.
A beard.
It's a programmer.
A designer.
Software engineer.
Gamer.
Developer.
Yeah. Developer. That didn't know how to work.
Emergency.
Alarm.
Fire truck.
Alarm. This is going to be a bit grim, but
Suicide.
Candyman.
Rope.
News.
where do you keep hurting animals? Okay. No.
Violin.
No.
Musician.
Yeah.
And you put it there.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have 4. The winner for now.
Alright.
Someone needs to make more than 7.
More than 7.
Harder words.
Yeah.
I think it's because the hard words are the ones that are left.
I believe the difficult ones are here. If you want to try.
I know that they're there.
Well, I'm not excited because I know what I wrote down and it hasn't come up yet, so. Start.
It's called karma.
What?
Karma. It's called.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh, bro.
Okay.
Wait, open.
Sweden.
No.
Open.
I feel sick.
That guy with the yeah.
The name.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No.
the
The
black
guy or the
Old Spice.
Old Spice. Nice.
I forgot the stupid name.
Glasses?
These are easy.
A cat. Yeah. A boat. A captain.
A boat.
A unicorn. that was a very funny unicorn. That was a unicorn fish.
Shark. Yeah. Amazing.
A unicorn fish.
You're amazing at this. Oh shit. It was one of mine.
Mirror.
Tablet.
Envelope. Yeah.
Shotgun.
Pistol.
Rifle.
Soldier.
Count first.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Wow.
Yes, it's not like no, it's not like I'm so for Bulgarian, by the way.
Is there anyone else who would like to beat him?
No.
Come on.
Give it to me.
Someone else? Come on.
Come on, we have a lot of words.
There's a lot of easy words, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ah, you passed them. You didn't want the easy ones.
No.
They're not for you.
You should choose.
If you don't
Alana, why
want
don't
to
you
go-
participate in this exercise as well?
Oh,
Yes.
no.
Why not?
She knows all of the words.
I'm too good for you.
It's your turn now.
I will choose if you don't want to. Go on.
Okay, I'll do it. Come on.
Alright.
No.
Word.
Ow.
You can drop it in the box.
Before you start.
No?
That's Mountain.
Roof?
Uh-huh. Artist.
Painter.
Brush?
Paintbrush.
Paintbrush.
Monk.
Buddhist.
Young.
Lipstick.
Makeup.
Judge.
Cheated. No object.
Oh yeah.
Painter.
No objects. No objects.
You can't use an object.
Really?
Yeah.
By the way, what was the last word?
Lion.
No,
Lion.
it was a lion tamer.
Oh, that's
By the way, we should remove one of his. Judge, he used the hammer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
You should
okay.
have said it.
Why?
The lion tamer.
No
Because
one
anyone
This
else.
could have been really.
No, no. No one will ever guess that.
I agree, that's a tough one. Yeah.
Okay, so 6, 8, and we remove 1, 7.
Quite the scrupulous Toastmaster. No, rather tabletop Toastmaster.
Yeah.
We should, I think we should let him have it, because he could have used his hand and it would have been the same. Yeah. So,
Okay.
Alright.
let's take a vote.
He wouldn't win
Yeah.
anyway, so.
Yeah, I would win anyway. just that we feel good for myself.
Still wanted to make it sure he didn't know how many.
Yeah. That's absolutely true. and
Whether eight is okay.
I'm not ashamed of it. I came here to win tonight.
Alright.
Okay. How much time do we have left?
I don't
Check the clock.
I don't show the time.
Okay, maybe one more.
Yes. Tell me when to start. Should I?
Start now.
Yes. Thank you.
A
Computer.
Excellent. Monkey.
Gorilla.
Monkey, yeah.
Gun.
Gun.
No, that's the exact. A stethoscope.
Doctor.
What? I don't know what the word in English, by the way.
That's painter.
Remove
Some.
him. Yeah.
A brush.
A flag.
Yeah. Good
Flag.
job.
Who's waving the flag?
Rockstar.
Yeah.
Those are all yours.
A flower.
Rose. Yeah.
Yeah, that was nice. That was cool.
This one is an explorer.
Thank you.
Come on, let's do one more.
Do we have 10?
Let's hope not.
4, 6, 9.
Oh,
Very close.
Close.
very close.
So close.
Maybe anyone else wants to challenge Sue?
Come on.
No, they're afraid. All of them are. They're
Woo.
very afraid.
Eagle, falcon, plane.
Bird.
Uh,
Skateboarder.
Exactly.
Oh, damn. That was one of yours, man.
No, he's just good. Sombrero. Monk.
Teacher.
A professor.
Graduated.
Toga.
Judge.
Lawyer.
Lawyer.
Oh.
That was the answer.
Monkey. Koala.
That was one of yours.
No.
Really? What?
He's just good. Teleprogram.
Time
Summary.
machine. Telegram.
Teleportation. Teleport.
Summary.
Transformation?
Transformation.
I just saw the word.
That was a tough one.
They makeup? Okay.
Trumpet.
You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but I think that yours won